I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, we have all members but LD in attendance. I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's meeting and remind the audience of the request to address the board cards that must be completed and submitted to the board secretary if they wish to speak to an agenda item. Board policy provides for 2 cards. White cards to be submitted in order to speak to an agenda item, and blue cards to be submitted in order to speak during public comments. Policy also states there is a 5-minute maximum time limit per speaker. Due to the open meeting law, board members are not allowed to address items that are not on the agenda. If you do not want to address the board, but wish to give your comments in writing, you can do so on a goldenrod sheet, and all members will receive a copy. Is there an approval of agenda?
I move the governing board approve the agenda as presented.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Approval of minutes for October 14th regular board meeting. Is there a motion?
I move the governing board approve the minutes as submitted.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. There's no public comments. Next is the superintendent report. We have Shar joining us, Dr. Boyle joining us through telephone.
Okay. Welcome everyone to this evening's governing board meeting. I would like to first say congratulations to Ms. Donna Young and Mr. Carl Zaragoza, who were elected to our governing board for 2015, and also to Amy McSheffrey, who will be completing the 2-year term. At the December 9th board meeting, we will be swearing in our newly elected and appointed board members and having a special recognition for our outgoing board members, Ms. Tiffany Arenas, Mr. Matt Jewett, and Dr. Ildi Lasko-Kerr. This evening also I'd like to share some recognition that our employees and students have received in the last several weeks from throughout the state of Arizona. And the first are 2 former students who now attend Metro Tech were recognized, Edwin Eliosa, who attended Creighton, and Daniel Gomez, who attended Loma Linda. Students from Metro Tech were winners of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Rocky Mountain Southwest Emmy Awards in the Student Production Division. Metro Tech won the High School Public Affairs Community Service category for its video entry to the Phoenix Police Department's Too Young to Dream public service announcement last spring. And the students honored there were Juan Olivos, Edwin Eliosa, Daniel Gomez, Mireya Ontiveros, Alex Avios, and Martin Lopez. These awards are intended to be an incentive for the continued pursuit of excellence by those studying media and journalism, and to focus public attention on outstanding cultural, educational, technological, entertainment, news, and informational achievements by undergraduate, college, and or high school students. So congratulations to Creighton School District students. And we'd also like to say congratulations to Dr. Winona Considine, school psychologist at Kennedy School. She was awarded Arizona State School Psychologist of the Year recently and was recognized at an award assembly this last Friday, November 7th. So again, we're proud of our students and our staff who are recognized for the excellence that they do. Thank you again for attending the meeting this evening, and thank you for allowing me to present.
Thanks, Dr. Boyle. Governing board reports. Does anyone have anything to report out?
I actually, when we had Ames testing at North, I could have slipped in, and I decided to go visit some schools instead. So I went to LCK, Loma Linda, and Creighton, why can't I think of it? LCK, Loma Linda, and Creighton School, my goodness. And I just saw some really amazing things happening, and I saw the difference having a middle school staff that's a little bit more tenured and who can hang around for a while, as opposed to a staff that's mostly new, and the vast differences that exist between the two of those. Regardless, the newer staff members were trying their best and working really hard to implement good changes and good procedures. And the leadership at all three sites was really strong and inspiring, and so it was just really nice to be able to visit those schools and see what was happening in their middle schools, and for some of the little kids too, and see such good attitudes and positivity and rigor and good work. So that was nice. Also, I just want to say too that for community council, I won't be able to be there because I'll be at Northtown's Family of Leaders, which is a diversity camp happening the week and before Thanksgiving. So we'll be Thursday nights.
Yes, I want to report that, thank you for reminding me, community council, I already committed to an event with my son Patrick with the out and about group with people with special needs, so I won't be able to attend. And also Friday, I will be attending the legislative day with ASBA. It's an all-day workshop, all-day conference. Dunlap is afraid by 17. Are you going there? Okay. As long as
Community council is November 20th, for those who are curious.
6 p.m. or CSD.
At 6 p.m. at LCK. Thank you, Matt.
tomorrow.
No, next week. Next Thursday. Next week.
Oh, yeah.
All right, approval of consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I move the governing board approve consent agenda items A through C in accordance with policy BEBP-R.
Is there a second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Next, we have approval of student expulsion.
I move the governing board approve to expel the reference student from the Creighton School District.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Business and plans. We have maintenance and operations budget update for the 2015-2016 school year. Scott, you're bringing us some good news. It's exciting. Mixed.
And the PowerPoint that is on the agenda item was revised, there's another one
Okay.
in your library.
In the library. Thank you.
There were typos.
Madam President, members of the board, good evening. Yep, it's the last update we had showed both overrides ahead. I'm not sure there's a whole lot of votes left. So hopefully that becomes official here pretty soon. So what I'm going to show tonight are the things that we know about the M&O budget for the 15-16 school year. And I want to jump ahead by saying I'm going to show you a summary slide at the end, and it's going to show us kind of close to even with the override, but be it known that some of the costs are controllable or a little more discretionary than others. So that's, you know, not a final result. It's what we know now. This is kind of early for us to do this, so we're still a ways out. The state hasn't started talking yet. The governor hasn't said anything. So this is what we know now. Maintenance and operations override, replacing our current 10%, which netted $2.9 million per year, to a 15%, $4,350,000. So that's an increase that will begin in the 15-16 school year of $1,450,000 additional M&O dollars. The capital override was ahead as well. They'll net $2.9 million capital dollars for 7 years. So that one doesn't have a phase out. It just lasts for 7 years. So we're at revenues wise. Average daily membership is down 88 students, and that's going to cost the district about $400,000 M&O dollars. This is more of an estimate. Classroom site fund or a property owner calls for the district to get the lesser of 2% for inflation. Last year it was 1.4%, so I used that. Could be a little higher, could be a little less. But if it were 1.4%, that would give the district an additional $400,000 dollars. So after 2 slides, we're even like small loss and an increase in support. Student success funding is new for this year, the 14-15 year. That's a cash-based account. So unlike M&O where we calculate a budget and we can spend that, you know, on first day in theory, if we needed to. This is cash. Our first deposit is supposed to come this month, and it's $107,115. And that's a measure of each individual student and where they stood on performance and for improvement. And if they got both, that was worth a certain amount of money. If they got one or the other, that was worth a certain amount of money. And so I'm going to assume that it's going to be about the same next year, and we'll probably get $105,000 next year, roughly. Health insurance premium, this one is a little more controllable also, and we're hypothesizing that the increase for next year might be 13%. Last year we had a ceiling with, as part of our bid, we had a ceiling of 7%, and that's what we ended up paying. We also changed the coverage a little bit, and so the cost wasn't quite what was forecast, but if we accept the same coverage that we have now at a 13% increase in cost, that would cost $450,000. Medicaid monies are monies we get in reimbursement for our therapists and several other physicians who provide services to Medicaid eligible students, access eligible students. When we started the years where we cut the M&O budget every year, we had a balance in that account of almost $3 million, and we didn't really spend it. That was a number of years revenue build up, and so it was the district's rainy day fund, and that's what we began to use to save positions throughout the last several years. At the end of this year, we'll have $400,000 left. Last year we had $600,000 on the budget in support of M&O. You meet and confer, we dropped that to $400,000, so we still have $400,000 to address. Recurrent revenues are $50,000 per year. This fund also supports the nurses' budget that they have to keep their equipment new and appropriate, and also when a piece of equipment gets written into an IEP in the special ed department, we use these funds to buy that. So these funds do have kind of a traditional use. It also represents, along with our M&O carry forward, our margin of error or our rainy day fund. So that's that total. If we stop spending that money, it's about $800,000 because our M&O carry forwards in the $400,000 range as well. So we should consider that. But if we reduce Medicaid spending from the M&O budget next year, that would cost us $400,000. This is the last year for Career Ladder. So there's 2 parts to that. The stipends that teachers get are winding down, and this is the last year for that. We also have some monies in there that support teacher mentoring and induction programs. And so the impact on teacher stipends is just a loss. The other, we can continue or.
So, Mr. Walner, on the teacher stipends, does that mean that it's just money that comes out of teachers' salaries then?
It was additional teacher compensation. It's phased out over the last 5 years, and this is the last year.
So if the Creighton School District did not make up for that basically to the teachers, would it still be a cost to our budget?
No. Okay. No, but the monies that we used in for the mentorship program, we're today recommending that we continue that. If we do that, that would be $100,000. Okay, thank you. E-rate is a Clinton era program that helped schools get connected to the internet and a number of other things really. And they have more than one program, but the program that pays for a big chunk of our internet connectivity, our phone bills, and some things like that, utility bills, is being phased out. So this year, for eligible programs, they pay 90%. Next year, they're going to pay 70%, and it's going to phase out from there. So we estimate that's going to cost us $150 in assistance that's going away, and you'll likely see that figure again next year and the year after as that program phases out. Yes.
Is E-rate a grant that you write to the federal government that the school writes?
It's a grant and it's based on poverty, so that's why Creighton's was in the 90% bracket. So we pay 10%.
You get it for technology, right?
Well, for the capital stuff, there is an impact on the capital side as well. You applied for that, and so for example, when we built Papago, E-rate paid for the harness, the technology harness, the cabling, etc. Monte Vista, that's not the case.
Yeah, the only reason I'm asking is because when I was standing outside the polls last week, in asking people about yes on the overrides, a former friend of yours, who's also in another Murphy school district, he's your job, but in Murphy,
Okay.
he was mentioning, don't you get this grant? Ed should know about it. I don't know why you're not. So I thought he called it E-rate though. Do you remember, James? He was,
E-rate funding pays for the infrastructure. E-rate does not pay for anything that connects to the wall.
okay.
So, and again, it still pays for some infrastructure, but they're making major modifications. They've only got $3.2 billion. I'm also on the advisory board with ISTE to E-rate. We've only got $3.2 billion to spread around the U.S. And what they were doing was they were paying for $6 and $7 and $8 and $9 million projects for districts that were qualifying for them. So you'd only get about 100 districts getting qualified for what's known as priority 2 services, or the infrastructure that supports it. So now what they're doing is they're limiting exactly what you can get to $50 per student, and they're cutting other services that they believe districts should start taking over. Web services, some of the internet services, all legacy phone systems are literally no longer going to be supported. So they're modifying it so that they can make that money spread a little bit.
Okay, I was just, I might send you an email if you emails me. I'll just-
Okay.
The provision of the Affordable Care Act starts for us our next contract cycle. So on July 1st, my staff who work 30 hours or more per week are entitled to the same health care benefit that 40-hour people are. So there's a committee that's currently looking at options and what that would cost and how it might be funded, or if we need to restructure jobs. That work is ongoing. However, if we took no action, and as we're staffed right now, M&O, that would cost us $450,000. Also a cost with food services staff and with our federally funded employees as well.
Is that the cost of penalty or the cost of adding those people to our coverage?
Cost of adding people to our coverage. And then I'll look at the penalty side. Okay. So this you won't see on the summary page, but the Prop 301 lawsuit is still winding its way through. But I did look at what might have been if we had been funded for inflation all the way through, and the cumulative impact to the Creighton School District has been $9.1 million since 2009-10. I mean, if you take the base level and inflation all the way through. And for the 14-15 budget alone, if that had been honored or implemented, our M&O budget would have been $2 million higher. So what that means, they're talking about the reset amounts or the payback amounts. So one thing the state could end up doing is just setting the support level where it's supposed to be now and begin to fund it, or does the state owe us all this back money? And by looking at that figure, if Creighton's share is $9.1 million, it seems to me that to fund that statewide would just be utterly unaffordable. It would cost billions of dollars.
And just to add to that, I don't think the plaintiffs are seeking that. I think they are just seeking resetting the base support level, but they could be wrong on that.
And that next hearing is coming up this month, I believe. The state's position is simply that it doesn't have the money to do that. But we'll see. Also, nothing is linked to that. So they could say, okay, sure, we'll pay that. And they could cut our capital monies completely and any of a number of other things. They could change weights on different student weights. So there would be a number of ways for them to grant that and then recoup it. Exactly. So in summary, if I take those highest sort of, I'm going to say worst case figures, if the M&O override kind of gets lost, but the ones with the numbers with asterisks next to them have some wiggle room or some room to negotiate and decide what kind of outcomes we want for the budget next year. And me and Confer has met a couple of times to begin discussing that, and we'll see where that goes. Just a reminder of other things that are always on the budget. Utility rates aren't going down anytime soon. We always talk about pay increases and staffing. Classroom site funds have increased in the last couple of years. So last year we were able to add an additional $150,000 into the M&O budget. That could happen again. I think we get that figure in January. And so that's one of the first budget things that we know for a fact that and what the state retirement system is going to do. So that could come out on the positive side. We were asked to update the student transportation situation from last year. We added $60,000 to drivers to that budget, and these are the things that we were able to discern for sure. Enrollment at Mackin and Loma Linda schools are up a little bit between them, and the district as a whole is down. So I don't know if you can infer from that. 305 children are being transported from the other side of the freeway to those two schools, and 83 newly enrolled students are attending Mackin and Loma Linda. So you can sort of surmise that I think the results really are inconclusive, I suppose. I mean, what would these numbers look like had we not added back some buses? I'm not sure, but it looks like there's reason to believe that it might be successful. Good idea.
Yeah, I'd like to say that I think it's great that we did add the buses and that we have new enrollment, but also for safety for all those kids for safety reasons too.
And that's what we're seeing right now for 15-16.
But just to reiterate, when we had this first conversation sometime around January, February, so this is earlier than we ever projected out on these numbers. So
yeah, the legal meaning the next time period will be a little bit different. Some things will be decided, and the state will be talking about doing this or that, and they'll be in here too. Thank you.
The next agenda item is under general. It's a review of the results of the maintenance and operations and capital override elections held November 4th, 2014.
this was an agenda item that was requested by board. We have no presentation, so it's up to you guys.
Did you say the final numbers, or did you just say that they were ahead earlier? I can't recall. I have them. Okay, so for the M and O, do you want the total number? So we have 4,763 yes votes, and that means we're ahead by 452 votes. Great.
It's been
Yeah.
updated again.
Really?
Yeah, so it is now 4,768.
Woohoo! We'll take the extra five.
And then the no was 4,316. And on the capital, it's 4,642. Yes, and no 4,339.
Wow. And when are they gonna stop filming?
They stopped soon. I sent them an email that they said soon. But
Another
it
week or
won't
so.
be like the official until it goes to the Board of Supervisors on the 19th, but at some point, they'll stop counting and it'll say like final unofficial results.
Okay. And according to multiple sources, there don't seem to be enough ballots left to count to overcome the leads that we have in both of these overrides. So that's really exciting. So I want to thank everyone for their participation, whether you voted, donated money, donated time, any way that you helped really made a difference. And we should give ourselves a round of applause again because this is great.
On top, and it now says final
It
results.
does.
Yes, really.
That was pretty quick.
There. So that is.
All right.
They're done.
That's really exciting. Anyone else have any comments, questions?
I'd really like to thank the teachers for all the work they did going out. And I know there was tireless weekends that they were out a lot of the teachers. Just want to thank them and other people.
And it was really nice that CNL kind of, led the charge for that. A lot of students that I know and the people at CNL worked lots and lots of hours. So it was really great to have their support because they were so successful in the Phoenix Union. They know what they're doing. Anytime we need another override, we know where to go.
And that's, I think, Center for Neighborhood
Yeah,
Leadership.
Center for Neighborhood Leadership, yeah.
Dr. Bachner?
It just may be helpful to the board, particularly on capital. Not that there needs to be a lot more agenda items, but just to come back and kind of review, particularly the capital and what some of the thinking is at this point in time with the capital. You've got an M&O update. We know there's some other things that we particularly have to do with the M&O side. It may be helpful to the board to kind of be given some information and really thinking.
That's a great idea. Are you thinking when the new board members come up, or?
Well, there's capital, there's the agenda allow, or the wording in the pamphlet allowed for curriculum, which we're desperate for. It allowed for our technology, and we have some specific thoughts around that and some things that have already been presented in years past. Also allows for furniture and equipment. So we can probably bring together. I have to look at Hilda because our agenda, we have 2 more meetings and they're getting filled up really quick. So we'll talk with Hilda and try to decide where it will fit best.
Great, that's a great idea.
Which one are they discussing in meet and convert? The capital or the M&O?
Well, the M&O is relevant to salaries.
Oh, okay, that's what I wanted.
Okay, speaking of which, future agenda items.
Damn.
Any new ones, or anyone want to schedule anything?
Oh, I realized I won't be here the 25th. I'll still be at that diversity camp on the 25th, so I'm sorry.
Move the governing board adjourned.
I second. It's been moved in second, and all those in favor say aye. Meeting adjourned. We need to go look at the like calendar.